Hey everyone, it's the DC Coin World International Coin Channel, and we're going live, and we're going to look at the 1963 Two Shillings coin from the United Kingdom, and this is it right here on the right. On the left here, we have a 1964, and the reason we have a 1964 is just so we can look at the front and the back. Of course, this is the same back, except it says 1963 on it. But let's put this here. And there's another reason that we have these two coins, and that is because one of the things we wanted to talk about was the value of the coins over time. So these two coins right here now, they're 2 shillings each, or 1 florin. At the time they were made, they were worth 1/10 of a British pound sterling, and hence that's why they were converted into the 10 new pence, and essentially the 10 new pence is the same size. At the time these came out in 1963 and 1964, they were worth about, let me see, they were worth 1/10 of a pound each, but they were also valued against the Canadian dollar. And so they were worth about 60 cents Canadian. And so in 1964, 4 shillings was 60 cents Canadian. That's because of the exchange rate was about 3 to the dollar. In other words, a British pound was worth about 3 Canadian dollars. And so when these first came out, these coins were all worth the same amount. But there's a big difference between them now in terms of value. These two Canadian coins on the bottom, 60 cents Canadian, are now worth approximately $8.50 US. Where these two at the top, the 63 and the 64 2 shillings coins, right now are worth about $1.25 US. And that's because the Canadian coins, of course, are silver. And so because of the silver content of the Canadian coins, the value has increased over time. And the pound sterling, of course, these weren't really pound sterling because I think that was 1946 or I guess the Currency Act of 1946 changed these from silver to a copper nickel. So the 2 shillings coins were copper nickel, the 50-cent coin and the 10-cent coins from Canada were silver, and over time there was a huge change in value. So $8.50 now, and maybe a dollar and a quarter now. Let's look at these coins though, because this one specifically, the 1963, is just spectacular. And when we look at it, we see that it is a Mary Gillick First Portrait, and this portrait was on the 2 shillings coins for its whole lifetime, from 1954, this particular one from 1954 until 1970. And we see another reason that I had the two of them is to show the difference between a coin that is almost uncirculated and a coin that's been circulated. And look at the way you can see the knot in the ribbon, you can see the lines in her hair, you can see the indentations in her face and her cheek. This mark here is just a coin mark that came from the mint. You can see actually her shirt or gown. You can see the folds in here that you can't see in this one. And so this one is going to be an almost uncirculated. This one is going to be a very circulated, so probably not high on the value. We see this beaded exterior here. We see a little bit of coloring here, but this, you know what this is from? This is actually from the packaging. These were put in a plastic packaging that kind of sometimes gets on the coins. If we look at the edge, we see that it is a reeded rim, and then we go to the back, we see this is, of course, 1963, Fid Def, or Defender of the Faith. This is the English rose in the center, 2 shillings, or the Tudor rose for the House of Tudor. And then as we go around the outside, we see that we have the Welsh leek, the Irish shamrock, and the Scottish thistle. So as we go around the outside right here, we see it says there's a thistle, shamrock, leek, shamrock, thistle, leek, thistle, shamrock, thistle, shamrock, thistle. And then if we go way, way down in here and we bring it up as far as we can, we see there is an EF here and a CT. And of course the CT is the famed engraver Cecil Thomas, and the EF is Edgar Fuller. Now these coins are a little harder to get now, but they're still not that hard to get. Now look at the back. When we magnify the back, you see that these are all attached. And I want to just show you that versus the front. And see how these are beaded here. And these are attached here. And that is because this coin got flattened somehow. And actually it made it kind of one. So this coin, once you look at that, is maybe quite as good condition as it could have been, but it's still pretty darn good condition. All right, so is it worth having one of these? You bet it is, because it's a beautiful coin. Is it, does it increase in value like silver would? You bet it doesn't. Of course, silver's gone down a little bit in the last month or two, but silver's still worth way more. So if you were going to say, did you want a Canadian dollar in change from 1964, 63 or 64, or an English pound in change from 1963 and 1964, take the Canadian dollar every time. The Canadian dollar in change, if it's the silver change, which is the dollar itself, which is worth about $17, then of course there's a 50-cent coin, which is silver, the 25-cent coin, which is silver, and the 10-cent coin, which is silver. The nickel from Canada, or the 5-cent coin, and the 1 penny Canadian are not silver. So if your dollar was all in nickels or 5 cents and pennies, then that would be wouldn't be as valuable. But in this case, choose the Canadian if you can. That's all we have today from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel and leave any messages you might have in the comments section.